this kind of haphazard, and I'm recording so I don't forget, you know, as you get older. And I'm like almost 24 hours now, not years old, but 24 hours old. I was reborn yesterday on my 65th birthday. Now here's what I'm going to do. Waiting for my son Lucy to show up and help me out here, because I couldn't prove this without some help and witnesses. But I'm back. Today is February the 5th. It's 10:43 a.m. and everything is being documented. I want my people to wake up and understand that they lied, deceived us from cradle to grave for generations and generations. And now in 2012, I can reveal it because I performed the necessary instructions that were given to me, the necessary ritual at the Newport Tower on December 21st, 2010. There's over 200 videos on the internet, at YouTube, Facebook, and so on. Planet Cedar is my home base, planetcedar.com, and I have a web page called www.kbirdian.net. I'm going to try to record every day and make videos as much as possible because it's critical that I throw whatever energy I have left into holding this dream that I brought all my family and all my friends into. This dream that I'm going to stay in, this wonderland, this dimension that I crossed over into through the portal of the Parting Ways Project. Any researcher on the internet, anybody wants to debunk me, hey, you got it, man, let's do it. Any politician or elite or secret society member, any worshipful master, I challenge you to prove that you have more power than God, more power than the source. The source is where I might as well just say the source is my portal. This is where I come from, this is where I'll go. And anytime I got 13 kids, and I got at least, I don't know, 50 beads on my prayer beads. And each one of them represent someone I love, produced from my reality, not from something told or shared or put into my head. This is from what I experienced. You can't speak for something you don't know. When someone told you or you read about it, that's not real. That's the man in the mirror. Now let's get the clear on it. If you're a subscriber, I'm giving you the keys. So how you can get into your ego or get into your position, do your prayer and ritual, and you'll be able to do the same thing you're seeing me do. And researchers, please check it out. 200 documents with events and historical facts that prove that 2012 is not the end of the world, but the beginning for the people I came here for. I remember everything. You can't fool me. And you can't overpower me because I know the power that freedom and liberty brings when you're made in the United States of America, or MUSA, M-U-S-A. Thank you, and I'll see you in a second.
What a bad candidate Mitt Romney is. He got himself in huge trouble with the comments yesterday about how he's not very concerned about poor people. I thought his fault.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Thank you so much. Heads of state, cabinet members, outstanding vice president, Congress, religious leaders, distinguished guests. Have a moment. good to see all of you. Let me begin by acknowledging the co-chairs of this breakfast, Senators Isaacson and Klobuchar, who embody the sense of fellowship at the heart of this gathering. Two of my favorite senators. Let me also acknowledge the director of my faith-based office, Joshua Du Bois, who is here. Where's Joshua? He's out there somewhere. He's doing great work. I want to commend Secretary Hillary Clinton on her outstanding remarks and her outstanding leadership at the State Department. She's doing good every day. I'm especially pleased to see my dear friend, Prime Minister Zapatero, and I want him to relay America's greetings to the people of Spain. And Johnny, you are right. I am deeply blessed, and I thank God every day for being married to Michelle Obama. I'm privileged to join you once again, as my predecessors have for over half a century. Like them, I come here to speak about the ways my faith informs who I am, as president and as a person. But I'm also here for the same reason that all of you are. For we all share a recognition, one as old as time, but a willingness to believe, an openness to grace, a commitment to prayer can bring sustenance to our lives. There is, of course, a need for prayer even in times of joy and peace and prosperity. Perhaps especially in such times, prayer is needed to guard against pride and to guard against complacency. But rightly or wrongly, most of us are inclined to seek out the divine, not in the moment when the Lord makes his face shine upon us, but in moments when God's grace can seem farthest away. Last month, God's grace, God's mercy seemed far away from our neighbors in Haiti. And yet I believe that grace was not absent in the midst of tragedy. It was heard in prayers and hymns that broke the silence in an earthquake's wake. It was witnessed among parishioners of churches that stood no more, a roadside congregation holding Bibles in their laps. It was felt in the presence of relief workers and medics, translators, servicemen and women, bringing food, water, and aid to the injured. One such translator was an American of Haitian descent, representative of the extraordinary work that our men and women in uniform do all around the world. Navy Corpsman Christian Bouchard. And lying on a gurney aboard the USNS Comfort, a woman asked Christopher, "Where do you come from? What country?" After my operation, she said, "I will pray for that country." And in Creole, Corpsman Bouchard responded, "In Tanzania, United States of America." God's grace, the compassion and decency of the American people is expressed through the men and women like Corporal Bouchard. It's expressed through the efforts of our armed forces, through the efforts of our entire government, through similar efforts from Spain and other countries around the world. It's also, as Secretary Clinton said, expressed through multiple faith-based efforts by evangelicals at World Relief, by the American Jewish World Service, by Hindu temples and mainline Protestants, Catholic Relief Services, African American churches, the United Sikhs, by Americans of every faith and no faith, uniting around a common purpose, the higher purpose. It's inspiring. This is what we do as Americans in times of trouble. We unite, recognizing that such crises call on all of us to act, recognizing that there but for the grace of God go I, recognizing that life's most sacred responsibility, one affirmed, as Hillary said, by all of the world's great religions, is to sacrifice something of ourselves for a person in need. Sadly, though, that spirit is too often absent when tackling the long term, but no less profound issues facing our country and the world. Too often that spirit is missing without the spectacular tragedy, the 9/11 or the Katrina, the earthquake or the tsunami. It can shake us out of complacency. We become numb to the day-to-day crises, the slow-moving tragedies of children without food, and men without shelter, and families without health care. We become absorbed with our abstract arguments, our ideological disputes, our contests for power. And in this Tower of Babel, we lose the sound of God's voice. Now, for those of us here in Washington, let's acknowledge that democracy has always been messy. Let's not be overly nostalgic. Divisions are hardly new in this country. Arguments about the proper role of government, the relationship between liberty and equality, our obligations to our fellow citizens, these things have been with us since our founding. And I'm profoundly mindful that a loyal opposition, a vigorous back and forth, the skepticism of power, all of that is what makes our democracy work. And we've seen actually some improvement in some circumstances. We haven't seen any canings on the floor of the Senate anytime recently. So we shouldn't over-romanticize the past. But there is a sense that something is different now. That something's broken. Those of us in Washington are not serving the people as well as we should. At times it seems like we're unable to listen to one another, to have at once a serious and civil debate. This erosion of civility in the public square sows division and distrust among our citizens. It poisons the well of public opinion. It leaves each side little room to negotiate with the other. It makes politics an all-or-nothing sport where one side is either always right or always wrong, when in reality neither side has a monopoly on truth. And then we lose sight of the children without food, and the men without shelter, and the families without health care. Empowered by faith, consistently, prayerfully, we need to find our way back to civility. That begins with stepping out of our comfort zones in an effort to bridge divisions.
However, the island's position astride mid-Atlantic shipping lanes
We see
make
that
Cape Verde an ideal location for supplying ships.
in many conservative pastors who are helping to lead
on the island of São
the
Vicente
way to fix our
became an
broken
important
immigration
commercial
system.
center
It's
during
not
the
what would be
19th
expected
century
from
as a
them,
result of its
and
excellent
yet
harbor.
they recognize
In
those
1956,
immigrant
Amilcar
families the grace
Cabral
of God.
and Rafael Barbosa jointly organized the
We see that in
clandestine
the
African
evangelical
Party for the
leaders who are
independence
rallying
of
their
Guinea-Bissau
congregations
and
to
Cape
protect
Verde,
our
known
planet.
as the PAIGC.
We see it in the increasing recognition among progressives that government can't solve all of our problems. They're talking about values like responsible fatherhood and healthy marriage are integral to any anti-poverty agenda. Stretching out of our dogmas, our prescribed roles along the political spectrum, that can help us regain a sense of civility. Civility also requires relearning how to disagree without being disagreeable. Understanding, as President said, that civility is not a sign of weakness. Now, I am the first to confess I'm not always right. Michelle will testify to that. But surely you can question my policies without questioning my faith. Or for that matter, my citizenship. Challenging each other's ideas can renew our democracy, but when we challenge each other's motives, it becomes harder to see what we hold in common. We forget that we share, at some deep level, the same dreams, even when we don't share the same plans on how to fulfill them. We may disagree about the best way to reform our healthcare system, but surely we can agree that no one ought to go broke when they get sick in the richest nation on earth. We can take different approaches to ending inequality, but surely we can agree on the need to lift our children out of ignorance, to lift our neighbors from poverty. We may disagree about gay marriage, but surely we can agree that it is unconscionable to target gays and lesbians for who they are, whether it's here in the United States or, as Hillary mentioned, more extremely in odious laws that are being proposed, most recently in Uganda. Surely we can agree to find common ground when possible, parting ways when necessary. But in doing so, let us be guided by our faith and by prayer. For while prayer can buck us up when we are down, keep us calm in a storm, while prayer can stiffen our spines to surmount an obstacle, and I assure you, I'm praying a lot these days. Prayer can also do something else. It can touch our hearts with humility. It can fill us with a spirit of brotherhood. It can remind us that each of us are children of an awesome and loving God. Through faith, but not through faith alone, we can unite people to serve the common good. And that's why my Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships has been working so hard since I announced it here last year. We slashed red tape and built effective partnerships on a range of uses, from promoting fatherhood here at home to spearheading interfaith cooperation abroad. And through that office, we've turned the faith-based initiative around to find common ground among people of all beliefs, allowing them to make an impact in a way that's civil and respectful of difference and focused on what matters most. It is this spirit of civility that we are called to take up when we leave here today. That's what I'm praying for. I know in difficult times like these, when people are frustrated, when pundits start shouting and politicians start calling each other's names, it can seem like a return to civility is not possible. Like the very idea is a relic of some bygone era. The word itself seems quaint. Civility. But let us remember those who came before. Those who believed in the brotherhood of man even when such a faith was tested. Remember Dr. Martin Luther King. Not long after an explosion ripped through his front porch, his wife and infant daughter inside, he rose to that pulpit in Montgomery and said, "Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend." In the eyes of those who denied his humanity, he saw the face of God. Remember Abraham Lincoln. On the eve of the Civil War, with states seceding and forces gathering, with a nation divided, half slave and half free, he rose to deliver his first inaugural and said, "We are not enemies, but friends. Though passion may have strained, it must not break our bonds of affection." Even in the eyes of Confederate soldiers, he saw the face of God. Remember William Wilberforce, whose Christian faith led him to seek slavery's abolition in Britain. He was vilified, derided, attacked. But he called for lessening prejudices and conciliating goodwill, and thereby making way for the less obstructed progress of truth. In the eyes of those who sought to silence a nation's conscience, he saw the face of God. Yes, there are crimes of conscience that call us to action. Yes, there are causes that move our hearts and offenses that steer our souls. But progress doesn't come when we demonize opponents. It's not born in righteous spite. Progress comes when we open our hearts, when we extend our hands, when we recognize our common humanity. Progress comes when we look into the eyes of another and see the face of God. That we might do so, that we will do so, all the time, not just some of the time, is my fervent prayer for our nation and the world. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Next week's President Jack Manning, president of the Massachusetts Society.
Have a nigga Mac J.
Funded by outside sources. I sponsor them all, and the members sponsor their own businesses. And you know what I'm saying? In other words, they brothers like that brother that just spoke, which I commend. And the resources for lawyers, for advice, and so forth. It's all meet up on the net. Definitely lawyers and all that other stuff. There's plenty of resources. The problem is some people have access to resources that cost money or it's exclusive membership. We got to go to the well of wisdom without our gender and our biases. Wisdom is for everybody, all the human planet, and all the earthlings on it. So if we can get by that, I would say to the brother in 1972, the laws were changed, and there was a test case. You can check it out and Google it up. If you understand, and I know you do, but it's hard to accept, when you have an emotional union with someone, it's usually on good terms, and if a child is produced behind it, that the emotion, with its kundalini effect, that emotion binds you, and nobody wants to get hurt. Breaking up is hard, doing all that stuff. So they carry this negative vibe. Frequency just gives off every time they come in contact with the man, or it triggers a uncompromising stand. And knowing that the fathers have never had the support of the government, they've always been the target of annihilation in their mind, because we used to see it, now we can't pick cotton, we can't breathe. When we do breathe, they have to support it. So there's no job. It's just like, the reason why it goes like that is because it's feeding a dying economy. And every brother should know, or can know, if they look for it. If they spend as much time as they spend in chat rooms and on radio shows and so forth, Googling for data, especially going to governments and states and cities, and to organizations and to churches, religious places like that. Seeking you'll find resources. And 99% of the time, even before I had children, there was always the motherly, feminine energy that I drew to, that supported me, backed me, comforted me, and guided me. So keep that in mind, both brothers and sisters out there that are single and have children. I have 13. I spent 25 years with a single dad. I'm a great granddaddy, and I think I got about, I'm embarrassed. But I have a lot of great-grandchildren and grandchildren. And,
so let me ask you this question. When you became a single dad in 1972, how many children did you have at that time? And what inspired you to become a single dad? What happened?
Oh, this is a good one. Nikki, you sure know how to pick them. I think you're trying to find them like background. Let me tell you, before I
see, the purpose of doing the show is because you have fathers out there right now that have no idea. You have men out there right now that would love to take custody of the children but don't know where to begin, don't know how to begin. I mean, you have some of these men that have women that got issues, real issues, just like you have brothers with issues that these women may be on drugs or they may have some issues, and, they may be using the child against the man. So, I mean, we need to discuss this for the simple fact. I know fathers right now that are like, look, I want custody of my kids, but how do I begin to get custody of my children? You see what I'm saying? Because the court system always seems like it's on the mother's side. And true enough, I've seen some cases, real cases now. And as a matter of fact, I'm dealing with one right now as we speak. The father has not seen his child in 10 years, and he wants his children. But the mother is an alcoholic and a drug addict, and the system has closed the case on this particular case, and these kids are out there with the mother she took off again. And these kids are in danger. So at the end of the day, we need to have this information out to our brothers who have issues with women. They need to know what rights they have. They need to know that there are single fathers out there who have done this, who have maintained it, who have done a very good job at it. Because you have to remember, you got brothers that, it's like they feel like, well, I ain't gonna be able to do it. But with y'all coming on and sharing this information, it just inspires them to say, okay, shoot, if you did it, I could do it. You see what I'm saying? So that's the purpose of doing the show. And I just want to be real with it, because y'all know I keep it real. I want y'all to be real with it, because these are some of the same issues that our brothers are going through right now in the community. So go ahead. Tell me how you got your kids in 1972.
Okay, if anybody wants to have some fun, they can go and Google the information. I was known, a.k.a. the King Priest, in the entertainment world, which means I was in burlesque, and you might say pioneered male stripping. And I had several women that were exotic dancers. And, of course, you have children with them. You're not going to use rubbers back in the 70s. So, long story short, 3 of the women with children, my son that's 27, so 27 years ago, while I was doing the show, on the way I was leaving, in fact, I mentioned this a little bit before on the show, I was leaving and I saw a brother, as I left the club, beating up, the attempt beating up his old lady, and I went to interfere, and I was, like I said, I was on my way out, because I was going to go to the hospital. The son that I'm talking about was just being born. So, as I encountered these two and interfered, the guy sliced me in the neck with a razor. I had to discard the truth. Now, I kind of like ran, because I learned my lesson quickly. but I was bleeding profusely. So I ended up in the emergency room while my son was a couple of minutes old, 20 minutes old upstairs, waiting for Dad to come home, Mom's waiting for me. So I had said to myself while I was laying on that gurney, if you let me see my son and raise this kid, I'll change my ways. I'll go back to my roots. I'll spend all the time and energy that I did with the company you give me, the blessings and whatever you gave me for skills, and I will be the best father. And that tells the story of how I started out. I ended up with 5 kids to raise them. And then I ended up marrying a couple. And now I have 6 months.
Okay, so you was a single father of 5 kids?
Yeah.
All right, so what was the vows? Did they all have different mothers?
Well, of course, when they found out that the mother's, I'm in the hospital, right, has a guy downstairs. They did a little child investigation, and they took the baby away from the mother. And I had to go to court. But before I went to court, they made us go to a child state psychiatrist. And they put the head man on me. And he has a black bag if I could take the kid. So, here I walk in looking like a clown, thinking I'm entertaining, I'm looking good. And this guy looks at me and says, Korean, I go inside. And I'm looking on his wall. He's got all kinds of damn degrees and stuff and authority. And he says to me, if this is your story, that you got 6, women in your house and everybody gets along and he's all making plenty of money and the kids are all doing good. I think you have visions of grandeur. No man can handle more than 1 or 2 women. And at the best, they get divorced. And you say you've had these women, you're out of your mind. So now
you have men in the house. You have 6 women. Did you have kids by all them women?
Yeah, I just said that. Now,
okay, so you end up getting custody of 5 of them.
No, listen now. So the guy told me you have to document it. So the next morning, I brought all the mothers in and all the kids in, and I left them there. And I guess he questioned them because when I went to court, they gave me the custody of the kids.
Okay. So there you have it. So you actually, how long did you raise the 5 children by yourself?
All their lives.
Really? Interesting.
Yes.
And what involvement did the mother have? And now it's funny because you said they changed the laws back in 1973. So in 1973, it seemed like to me that there was no problem with them giving you the kids. Now in this day and time, it seems like the court system is usually on the mother's side. So that was back in 1973.
They were, and this is why the mothers took off because I had plenty of money and bringing all that bullshit. And we all had money, all right? We were doing pretty well. So what happened was it cost money to fight for your kids. And
so you had the money at that time to do that.
I spent my money in theirs.
Okay. Now, real quick question before I go to the lines. It's 11:02. I want to get to my lines. Let me ask you this. How did it affect you? I mean, was the mother still there or they were gone? And how did it affect you as being a single father? Did you find it hard? Did you find it challenging? You had money at that time, so you didn't have to worry about trying to get extra help. But was it challenging to you being a single father? What kind of love did you display to all these children? I mean, answer that real quick, and then we're going to go to the line.
Of course, you single women especially know how hard it is. Of course I found it hard being a man, especially with my ego and my so-called macho thinking. I mean, after all, I was, the epitome of what these guys call thugs and gangsters. And here I got children, and the children taught me all about, what women go through. And what they have to do and how they have to do it. And over the years, I got so sensitive to women that I think I found a little harmony because the women that are the mothers are still with me today, but they live somewhere in the here and there. And we only communicate maybe once or twice a week. And we have holidays together and, things like that. In fact, the older kids bring their kids, so it's like a big camp.
Right, so it's a big family thing. But you did find it actually challenging and hard. All right, Brother Bobo, to stay on the line. Let me get to 607 because I'm sure you got some questions. Brother Minister, are you there? 607. 607-239. Brother Minister, are you there?
Yeah, you talking about me, 239?
Which one is this? 267? Kevin, that's you?
Yeah. No, 267.
Okay, who's 67? Okay, I'm sorry, 607-239. Go ahead.
Are you talking to me, Nikki?
Yes, I'm talking to you. I'm sorry. I thought that was Brother Minister's number. He said he was calling in, but go ahead.
I'm a single father. Been through most of the stuff that most women went through. Been to the shelter. public assistance, situation. Been through women trying to get to me by being nice to my daughter, buying stuff for my daughter, wanting to do her hair and things of that nature. My father got killed before I was born. My mother died when I was 2. So it wasn't no man.
Wait a minute, how old were you when your mother died?
I was 2.
You was 2 and your father was killed before you was born.
He was helping a friend out. He was a friend was being bothered by a bully, and the bully and him got in a fight, and he stabbed my father. My father continued fighting. I guess he didn't know he was stabbed. He wanted to fight, walked to the corner, he fell out. He internally bled to death before he got to the hospital. My mother OD'd at 2. My grandmother tried to kill me by throwing me out the window. I was legally signed over from my mother's family to my father's family. I wouldn't trade nothing in the world because raising my daughter made me a man. My ex-wife had postpartum. I had a son and a daughter. My son died of SIBS. And even that is something to go through because you sit into counseling and you sit amongst a bunch of women because you don't know what causes SIBS.
Right.
Was it abuse? Was it was it everything? I was a home attendant, so you're trying to give them mouth to mouth. When you find out that you gave them mouth to mouth for an adult and not for a baby, it bugs you out for a while, and you have to recover from that. So it's a lot to go through. And like the brother said, sometimes you want to give up. But
well, let me ask you a question. How old is your daughter, and how did you become in custody of her?
She's 6. I never had custody. She gave me my son. She gave me my daughter. When my son passed away, she came to the hospital. She went to help. I didn't have the funny thing about that was a brother came and see me walking the streets. He said, "What happened?" I said, "My son died." He went to a local manager and got some money up and helped me bury my son. After that, I had my daughter for 16 years. I went through when she had her first menstruation at the age of 10. I had to go and find out which pad to give her. Some she was walking bow-legged. Some she was walking. It was overflowing, and I had to learn that the hard way. I have cousins and stuff, but they were.
Question, my brother. What's your name? Because I want to refer to you as your name.
Oh, my name is Musa.
Musa. So why did she decide to give you your kids? She didn't want the responsibility?
I'm not sure. After me, she had 7 more kids. I just got back in contact with her because she has to pay child support, and she only pays $25.
Have kind of the key to unlocking these divine mysteries.
We will examine whether those of us alive today are the intended audience for the War Scroll, as this 2,000-year-old document spells out in chilling detail the end of the world. Does the prophecy contained within the War Scroll converge with other texts in the Old and New Testament? Is it similar to doomsday prophecies in other cultures? And are current events similar to those described in the scroll, suggesting that this might be the past actually revealing the future? One more example of the Nostradamus effect. Understanding the War Scroll's possible link to today's unrest means delving into the ancient origins of the Dead Sea Scrolls and exploring their discovery in the Judean desert.
The Dead Sea Scrolls were a group of documents found in 1947 near the Dead Sea, hence the name. They were found in a cave by a young Bedouin goat herd, or so the story goes.
The scrolls are a collection of handwritten biblical texts that took up to 200 years to write. Collectively, they contain fragments of nearly the entire Hebrew Bible, or Old Testament. Archaeologists ultimately discovered 10 more caves nearby, containing nearly 900 animal skin and papyrus documents in sealed jars. The scrolls are important because they are a closer approximation of the original source material of parts of the Hebrew Bible.
When we look at the origins of, say, Christianity, we're dealing with the gospel. They've been manipulated, they've been translated. They don't give us honest history, they give us an interpretation of history. The Dead Sea Scrolls issued directly from the group of people who constructed them, who wrote them. And to that extent, they give us the direct link to their beliefs and to a certain amount their history.
Written perhaps between 170 BC and 68 AD, the scrolls are believed to be all that remain of a small Jewish sect that lived in a settlement at Qumran, a plateau in the Judean desert along the Dead Sea, 12 miles east of Jerusalem. The sect is known as the Essenes.
That means that they lived in the time that both Rabbinic Judaism and the community surrounding Jesus that eventually became the church were being formed. So in that respect, this is just an extraordinary finding. You actually have authentic, handwritten texts from a community living at this time.
Some scholars believe the Essenes authored the scrolls, but who were they?
Kind of an extreme Jewish group that felt that they needed to withdraw and not mix with the rest of society in order to keep themselves religiously pure. They did that because they were not pleased with what they were seeing in their society and thinking that it had gone awry, and did not want to participate in that part of society that they felt was no longer right with God.
According to some scholars, the Essenes believed the Jewish people had angered God by not...
This is the word to the wise software. A few things I want to let you know. It's not your fault you don't know these things. They've gone to great effort and expense and many lives to keep these things from your knowledge. Distraction. Now this, lower the volume. It kept you busy. Just now, they're making it tough for you just to live. And see, the time is the same. This was made hours ago. So, and this is proof that there is another way of living in this world, and it has nothing to do with the elite's power structure and all that. It's what you believe in. Now this is the DVD that you'll be watching, and we're going to jump ahead. See the radio show? This is the radio.
Now, here's another figure. This one's kind of difficult.
No, this is the BA.
It's 12,000.
I called the BA, and they told me what was happening. And then a phone call
discussing it all
to the radio show.
ET.
Late night in the midnight. Late night in the midnight.
NWO Secret Space Program.
Okay. And
how you doing, Mike? All right. How are you?
This is the call in.
I heard that you was gonna have a spooky ghost story. How you doing about it for a while now? But I story, you know, about the founding fathers, and it was stuck. It's not nothing to be ashamed of.
Well, evidently, I spent a lot of time on that phone. That's the footage I just put there. You know. Oh. That's the footage I put there just for now. Now here I'm talking to Eddie. Okay. Talking to Eddie here in the house the day before. This is January 31st. So within a 24-hour span, going through these gates and parting ways is a portal. When me and Eddie come together, you know, so to say, there. So the spirits that are parting ways with us, our ancestors, or the entity of past time, the looking glass image that is not here, but yet you can go find it. Well, using this kind of software and stuff, you can make your movies, but you also can do scientific work. You see, while you're making a video and doing your research, and you're putting images, and you're laying out the map, the structure, the design. This is, you know, like that funnel. Above would be a funnel facing the narrow end, or the destructive part that touching the ground. And then you have the magnetic poles, which would be the the funnel facing and meeting at the face of the ground. They're both like the mirror image. Somewhere in between is where we live, and that vortex, or the eye, as the Freemasonics have their stuff supposedly together. But all right, I don't want to take too long explaining this, because I think you guys are smart enough to figure this out. We can do anything we want to do. We can, but we got to be sincere. We got to be focused. We have to think critical. You know, what's going on, and we have to support each other. You don't have to believe what's going on here. You can believe what you want. But whatever you believe in, live with it.
Indistinguishable. Take it down to those shops. They'll test it for you. Pure gold.
through these artifacts, carvings, bones, and caves that are being discovered under these churches and these cathedrals and these castles and these Freemasonic and Celtic structures that are all over the world. A lost knowledge that would go back to Atlantis and Lemuria or Moon and before Noah. Noah's all the stories, Indians, all these past were other times. They were real. Other spaces, they were real. The legends, stories and stuff, they were real. But hidden in a matrix called history. For thousands of years, their people knew how, had enough information to realize that the world wasn't flat. And I'm not going to be scared. I'm going to go out on that boat and I'm going to keep going. This map is telling me, go there. Go there. Get a boat. And boom, I got a boat. Get the money. Boom, I got the money. I talked to so-and-so. I met this guy and he told me how to do it. This comes together like building a pyramid. Not through something that earthly. This is from wherever the source. Return to the source. It was not, I don't think it was Cabral's term. I think that come from the Barbosa side of the family, that logo. Back in 59 and stuff when they put together the independence with Portugal.
There's no accident. It was Cabral and Barbosa.
No way. And I can go back. Every Barbosa's involved in so much, not different variations of the name. In Germany, in Russia, in ancient Samaria, in the Dead Sea Scrolls in the Bible, the name means nothing. It's the sound resonance. The sound resonance that the vibe makes. If I says to, what's your man's name?
Mitchell.
If I said, Mayor Mitchell, hi, my name is Wayne Barbosa. I'm a good friend of Eddie Johnson. What happens? What happens, Eddie? Sit in my chair, please. What happens, Eddie? When I say, Mayor,
in this case, it like you said, the vortex is there. This mayor would respond to you with all dignity and respect.
Okay, now I go down to parting ways, and here's the
selectman.
The selectman. We're dealing with powers and principalities and a part of our brain that we have tapped into that is beyond this dimension. And we can do it in the dream. The trick to the mirror is to realize there's one image in the mirror. If you look real close, in the eyes of that person that you're talking to is another person that's you, that you recognize. So you're going two-dimensional images that way into the mirror. And you're speaking and thinking. You can identify both of them. But who is standing there? It doesn't have a body unless you look away and look creative. The same point takes place when you go to sleep. And when you die, if you want to call it dying. To me, dying means, your dying means going under a stone and the name placed there, boom, that's it, that's the end. You can come once a year or whatever, have your ceremony. And they've been doing that life for a long time, killing us, dying. What happened to the DNA in the body? Your people and stuff, you got these huge monuments and stories and paintings. And here we just died. And little stones hidden in the woods. Something's wrong, you know why? Because is it a vortex where the ceremonies that were taking place with the Sons of the American Revolution, it's too hard for me to believe that they don't know.
And if they do know, then we need to get more from them than what the heck they're doing. They're only doing what we request. In a dream. Over here we have in this dream here, I can catch you. I can, like Karen, I proved to you with the number of that. She'll tell you, if she tells you that story, you just run clean. Wake up with the numbers, something with you. Hardly touch them. You know, made that once for a second. And months later, use numbers, nothing verbatim. Or something like that there. On a stone, after watching the video, and she had just got through watching the video, the second villain. And then they had the secret game of the little mother. And he's Karen. That just blew her away. Ego. Karen, he was a friend to her. I'm married to her. Oh, wait a minute, what's that mean? I said, no, you saw the whole show. I wish I could have seen that. I wish I saw what flashed in your mind when that happened. That's yours. But I made it for you so that you can see now you can share with me. Tell me what that's called. Over here we have, well, close up on these woodburns. We have the lion right here, one burn inside, and this is the Egyptian winged scarab on top. We have the two Egyptian pharaohs and stuff in the thing. So this is Egyptian thing. Right? Now something like that there. We first found this in the garbage, this piece, and we attached with emblems, you see, then we burned it, then we poured the plastic, and then we attached this mirror. This mirror doesn't belong to it. Now, what would you pay for something like that? $300 Okay, thank you. And this one over here is the telephone. All waterproof, shatterproof, keep resistant, nice and strong. And these are all antique pieces, old pieces, that otherwise would go in the garbage. In fact, that's where we get these things. We find them in the garbage. Every day we buy it. Laminated or put in the tank. Alright, so basically what I'm trying to say future image program is really designed for young kids. After school, on weekends, they were able to come to the show and bring a picture with them with the class. And we take the class out to show it to their families and people in the family and class. That we give them
Nigga wanna bang 'cause I'm running with the gang. Then give a nigga pay me and make change. Giving these bitch niggas a taste of misery. Misery. Bitches give me I think I MAC. Misery. Misery. Bitches giving me MAC. Misery. Leave my stop misery. Look around with my head and cheese. Better leave these alone. For me, my nigga take to hit your home. Split your dome with the bow chrome. Make a nigga face feel like the ozone. In the mind of a psycho, what goes on? Till I begin next time with no clothes on. Or the show's on, and they can't count. Almost up a nigga that beat your ass down. You in the face, soon as you in the ground. Hit a nigga, split a nigga to give you a pound. 32 rounds, tactic extended. Crossing my niggas is not recommended. Tested and put you in a lifelong body cast. You best guard your shit when it's body flag. More straps than John Gotti has. Don't think I sleep in the body bag. Dropping bombs like Slotty Ab to get low when the lack on poppy tag. Talking trash and get you took out. Both niggas police just will look out. G-grip like Chris and Hammer look out. We be sure you niggas will be get quick out. Sleeping, scheming, seeking, demons. Smoke so much you kill your semen. Like a whacked Cuban vegan. I so low I look Korean. Head steaming, phone ringing. Off through violent gangs deleted. Days to check 9 tag teaming. Leaving all you bags sleep. Misery when I see enemies. Niggas be timid. I'm a